All right, welcome everyone to our Wildcats presentation today. I hope everyone's having a good day, a good week so far. And for those of you who don't know us, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Mariana Jorgensen.
My name is Tyler Bryant.
And we are the Wildcats DIAs, part of the Wildcats team here at Round Rock, and we work with San Marcos as well. And Dr. Besner is here as well. She is the part of the leadership team for Wildcats.
Hi, everybody.
And yeah, if you guys have any questions at the end, you can feel free to reach out to us about this presentation or about Wildcats in general. We'll be happy to help you with that.
Alrighty, so we are the Wildcats team, and our theme for this year is Discover Your Journey. So there are numerous ways for you to live a fulfilled life and for us to assist you with that, physically, mentally, emotionally, or even financially, if we can support you in any way like that, helping you set up a budget or something in that way. We have the group exercise classes on campus, the proactive nutrition cooking classes, which is primarily on San Marcos campus, along with the one-on-one nutritional consultations that Dr. Besner provides. And then the health behavior challenge coach or change coaching, and the Wildcats education series that we're providing today.
Yes, and there's our email if you have any questions. So today, our topic is about self-care. And something that was in the description for this presentation was debunking any myths or maybe feelings that you have towards self-care. So we want to just start with thinking about that. What is it that comes to mind when you think about self-care? What are your feelings about that? What is your experience? And just in general, what it means to you to take time for your own self-care.
Alrighty, before we start this video, we have a couple of questions that we would like you all to think about, and you can type them in the chat either during the video or at the end of the video. The first question is, what does self-care mean to you? And we'll also type these into the chat. Number 2, what are some barriers to your self-care? So to your self-care routine or some self-care things that you do daily, weekly, or monthly, things like that. And then the last question is, what is working for you right now? So is it at the end of my day, I take an hour and I watch TV, or at the end of every week, I take myself out to a new restaurant, something like that? What is working for you currently?
All right, so just think about those questions, and maybe as we watch this video, some things will come to mind. And you can put it in the chat, any thoughts that come to mind or answers that you have. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about them.
When I hear the term self-care, I believe it's putting yourself in the best mental position that you possibly can be.
Doing what's best for yourself and not really what's necessary for other people, putting yourself first.
Thinking about things that make you feel nice. It could be a face mask or doing your nails at the end of the day, or it could be about journaling or connecting with a friend. Anything that makes you feel happy and more fulfilled inside.
Taking care of yourself is just being yourself.
Self-care is different and comes in different forms for different people.
I practice self-care by keeping fit, like playing basketball, like you said.
I pray.
We've been revising for exams this week, so we thought we'd go out today and take a break. Yeah, exactly.
I like to sing a lot, so it's just to be around people singing and getting praise for that.
A lot of the time when people think of self-care, they think of putting on a face mask, having a nice bubble bath, stuff like that. And that's, in the media's eyes, considered feminine. So most men wouldn't do that.
The urge to be masculine kind of deters you from self-care, because self-care is seen as a feminized thing.
Or sometimes you might feel like you don't deserve it.
So self-care doesn't have to be expensive. Go to the park, go for a walk, do something that is free and easy and makes you feel great after doing it.
To anyone
with borderline personality disorder or ADHD will understand that we have to write a lot of lists and we have to really work on ourselves for years and years and years, even to take care of ourselves to the minimum extent.
Guided meditations, good at meditations help you get to know your inner self as well. People love TikTok. There's a few TikTok that show you how to do it. And a simple search on how to do self-care, how to do journaling, you can get started, just that.
Take time out of your day to focus on that. That helps block out all the things you should be doing, whatever. Just focus, peace, calm.
Recently, I was broken up with and I went through a rough couple months in my life, and I talked about it, and it really helped me get past that, and it really helped me focus on what I should be doing for myself, and actually changed me for the better, actually.
It's all about just smaller steps. You're not trying to get to the end result straight away. Just do smaller things. If you want to set like a routine, start with like even just getting up in the morning, making your bed, get up at a set time or before a set amount of time, and just build it like slowly. It only doesn't take a day.
Keep trying every day, even when you fail, even in the smallest of ways, even if it's just giving yourself an objective and a goal. Please just keep trying every single day.
All right, so I hope you all got some inspiration from that video. I see we got some good responses. So Anthony says, means to me taking a moment to do something for myself, either physically, usually exercise, or mental health activities. Meditation is great, but forget to make time for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forget to meditate as well. I've said that I'll do it a lot, but then I just go home and sit on my couch and start eating a tub of ice cream and watching TV. So I think that is my meditation.
It's different for everyone, just taking that time for yourself. Tracy says, self-care means taking care of myself as a whole. Physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. Self-care is difficult for me because I normally focus on others before myself. I have been managing to get a monthly mani-pedi, but daily I finally scheduled the hour before going to bed to go be alone in my room, pray, read, watch TV.
I love that. I love that. Miss Tracy, what book are you reading currently?
Currently, I'm reading a book called The God Connection by Bethany Hicks.
Oh, okay.
That's great.
The God's Connection.
Mm-hmm. I like that you also incorporated various dimensions of health, because sometimes we're just focused on maybe our mental health or just physical, but there's a lot of things that come into play with this, because self-care isn't just one realm of our body, it's all of it, because stressors come in different ways and they can affect us in different ways. And so making sure that you have a balance, that's what self-care is. It's just helping your body become balanced out again, so it's not just stress, and you're helping your body become resilient and better able to manage that stress. So thank you, Tracy. Alma says, self-care to me means focusing on me, which is something I hardly ever do. Yes.
I'm in agreement with that one.
Mm-hmm. And that's also what Tracy said. It's not taking time for yourself, because sometimes we're always focused on the outward of what other people need, and then who is going to take care of you, right? You need to do that for yourself. Anthony, some barriers: work and family responsibilities, doing things to support the work environment, your job and other responsibilities, and the family, tiny, I can't read that. Sorry, there's like an emoji blocking it. But the family I would love to claim for myself is needed for family responsibilities and on the weekends too. Yeah, sometimes it's important to help family, but sometimes that can take time from our own self-care for only helping others. So it's good to have a little bit of time for yourself too, after helping your family or before making time.
And actually, I think family time could be considered self-care if it is fulfilling to you to help another person. It depends on the situation. Like, as a professor, when I help a student, I feel like that's self-care because it's fulfilling to me, to provide that support, which betters somebody else's situation. But sometimes our family responsibilities definitely feel more like a burden. Sometimes our work responsibilities feel more like a burden. So I think it's really important to notice the feeling associated with it when you do it. Another example is like watching television. Sometimes watching a show is exactly what we needed and feels renewing. But if we binge watch, for 8 hours on a weekend, then we feel crappy after that
Yeah.
and guilty. So I think, noticing how you feel after you do some of these things, it helps you determine was that a plus or a minus?
Definitely. Alma says, I do intentionally wake up earlier to pray and read devotionals, but sometimes it feels more like a checklist. Yeah, sometimes we can fall into that routine and it doesn't become self-care as much. So that's where mindfulness kind of comes into play. Why am I doing this? And is it really benefiting me? Do I need to adjust it in some way? But I think that's what Dr. Besser was saying, is really being mindful about what you're doing and finding the balance with that.
And Ms. Alma, I really love the word intentional. I think that in life, having intention in everything you do is really important. I'm eating this specific thing intentionally for my health, or intentionally I'm eating it for my desire, or you're waking up early in the morning intentionally because you know that you may not have that time later on in the day. And although it feels like a checklist, when it's something that you really enjoy and you feel as though it's really fulfilling for you, don't think of it as a checklist. Say, this is something that makes me happy. This is something that makes my day lighter or makes my day easier. This is something that I want to do. But I know, for instance, sometimes when I go to bed really, really late and I want to wake up earlier to go to school, I'm like, oh, I want to be intentional with my time, but I stayed up too late and now it's early morning. What am I going to do? It's a checklist. Like I have to get there early. I have to get there early to study or to review. But intentionally, I'm saying this is what I want to do because I want to be better. So mindfulness is really great, and changing our mind or changing aspects of thoughts really help us progress.
Yes. And Marsha agrees that it's great that Tracy talked holistically and included financial in that, because sometimes financial can definitely become a stressor, and it's good to do something to help you with that so it's not such a burden. Other barriers: low energy. What's working is having a hobby. I'm puzzling and working on art right now. Oh, that's great. Anthony also loves puzzles and has an app on an iPad for puzzles. Oh, that's really cool. So you already have some great hobbies and things that you do for self-care, so that's great.
I'm a word search girl. I love a good word search.
Yes. Did someone unmute?
Oh, yes.
Yes, Marsha.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I got to talking and my microphone was up. I'm sorry. No, I was just agreeing that the puzzle and I'm doing like a little paint by numbers, and it really just helps me to step away from the television. I like a lot of like music therapy, so I'll put on music and listen to music and sing and then do that. And so it's really been helpful.
That's great.
I'm happy to hear that.
I love music too. Anything I'm doing, it clears my mind, so that's awesome. Great, well, we had a great discussion. Thank you everyone for participating. And so we're just gonna go a little bit into why self-care is important and how it helps us, not only how we feel, but also what it does to your body whenever you take time for it. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about what we found in the research and some other resources that we had. So self-care really is all about having personal sustainability. Like we mentioned before, sometimes there's stressors that are gonna happen, we can't control them, but it's about how we react to them and what other things we do to combat those stressors so that it's kind of a balance, because there's always going to be stress. So self-care is kind of like that balance that you put so that it's not overwhelming. And one of the research articles that we found said that cumulative stress contributes to a loss of engagement and cognitive functioning, and it reduces learning from coaching, training, or education. So we can see that stress, when it goes unchecked and it just keeps adding on, it can make you be inefficient, or it can make you feel like someone had mentioned, low energy or without that motivation. It can affect you in your job. It can affect you in your relationships, how you learn, how you complete tasks. And so that's why self-care is kind of like that tool that you have for yourself to make sure that as that stress is coming, you're resilient and you're able to overcome that stress and not feel like it's more than you can handle. A lot of times, maybe you think about when you've been overly stressed, how your body responds. It's kind of in this fight or flight mode. You get anxious, maybe you're nervous, you're sweating, maybe you're irritable, angry. And that's something that comes as a response from your body. It's something called the sympathetic nervous system. Whenever it feels like it's under attack or something bad is going to happen, that's when you enter in that fight or flight mode. That's when that stress is sometimes seen as a bad thing. It doesn't always necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but when it's too much, your body panics a little bit, and that's why you feel all those negative emotions. And so even though that's part of your body, there's another part of your body that we're going to talk a little bit more, called the parasympathetic nervous system, and it's that rest and digest. And so they're opposites, but they need to work with each other and need to be in balance. And so self-care is a way that we can activate that parasympathetic nervous system so that we don't feel like we always have to be fight or flight. And just another part in that research article, it's this response from the sympathetic nervous system, it can limit your perceptual ability and your awareness of events. So if you're always kind of on edge, you're not going to notice little things, and maybe things will slide out of your to-do list that you didn't realize. You won't be as efficient at work. It can impair your creativity and your cognitive functioning and just feel bad overall. And so that's why you want to talk about how to avoid that, where you're always on the edge, and just feel like you can be at balance with the stress that you will obviously have with work or with anything that you do.
So next we have, what does self-care look like? And basically what we've reiterated already is being resilient in your own health, whether that's mental health, physical health, emotional health, anything like that. We have 3 categories that we're going to talk about today. It's going to be rest, renewal, and recovery. Someone asked me at one point, how are you doing? How is your self-care going? And when you're in a really stressful environment, say for instance, we're 2 PT students. So during midterms or during finals, those are really stressful weeks. And we don't really have the time to take those self-care moments and say, hey, let's take a rest. Let's take an hour, because we feel as though we don't have an hour. We have to consistently study and make sure that we know the material. Sometimes we have exams back to back. So with that example, in the text, from being negatively impacted by stressful events, indulging in self-care aids and recovering from stressful events more quickly and prepares you for stressors you may encounter in the future. So say that we go a month, no exams, and then we hit a rocky point. That month prior to, take the time and make sure that you're saying, hey, I know that this is coming up. What is it that I can do to prepare myself so I don't hit rock bottom when I get here? And this example can go into work. It can be dealing with family. Holidays are coming up. And I don't know about y'all, but some of my family members, they drive me a little nuts. So before we get to those holidays, I'm mentally preparing myself. I'm saying, hey, what is something that I can do to make sure that this doesn't happen? What is something that I can do to make sure that I manage my stress level and that I stay calm?
Going off of that, I think a lot of times we see self-care as a reward. Like, once I get through this exam, once I get through this assignment at work, I will treat myself by watching my favorite show, by going shopping, whatever it may be. But just like Tyler mentioned, there's self-care that needs to take place before that stressor, during the stressor, and not always seen as a reward. It's actually a responsibility that you have to yourself to help you be prepared for stressors, to help you manage stressors, and to recover from stressors. So it's not just something that you should put on the counter for later. It's something that you should do now, or something that you would benefit from doing now. And it's something that you can do at any time to just help you be prepared and always able to manage the stress that you have at that time or in the future. So the first part of this, as we said, was rest. I really liked this metaphor or analogy that just like your phone, it alerts you, you have 20% battery left. Hey, you have 10% battery left. Hey, you have 2%, like it's about to die. I try to not let my phone or whatever it is die. I try to plug it in before it gets to that point. And so you should do the same with your own body. Sometimes your body will send you signals that it needs a break. You know, you'll feel that mental fog or fatigue after you've been working on something for a while. Or maybe you feel your muscles in your legs start cramping up when you've been sitting a long time, or you feel like it's going numb. Or maybe, I don't know, your ankles get swollen after you've been in a certain position after a while. That's your body letting you know that it needs a break, or it needs a change in position. It needs something to be different because you've been doing the same thing too long. Or maybe it's your Apple Watch letting you know, hey, you've been sitting 50 minutes. It's time to get up. It's time to walk around. And so it's taking just those little moments for you to rest a little bit, so that then you can go back to what you were doing and feel better. Because I don't know if you've been maybe on an airplane for a long time or in the car. Once you stand up after a couple hours, you're like, oh my gosh, everything is so tight. Everything is just painful. And if you would have stood up an hour into it just to stretch a little bit and sit back down, you would feel a lot better. And so just like we listen to those notifications on our phones or our computers to plug it in when it needs a charge, listen to whenever your body is telling you, hey, I need a break. I just need to stand up, I need to stretch, or I need to take my mind off whatever I'm doing right now because it's becoming too much. Maybe do the color by number for a little bit, maybe go for a walk, put some music on just to take your mind off of that thing. And then you can go back to it and you'll feel rested and ready to do whatever you were doing and do it more efficiently. So that's what rest is. And if anyone ever has a question or something they'd like to add, feel free to put in the chat or unmute and we can talk about it. All right, so the second part of this is renewal. And this is where we go into what we were talking about, the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you remember, we mentioned that the sympathetic nervous system is kind of that fight or flight mode that activates whenever it feels maybe something dangerous is happening, or you just need to be cautious. And the other side is the parasympathetic nervous system, which reverses those effects. It actually helps the body slow down. It helps the blood pressure go down, the heart rate to go down. It just helps you feel more at ease. And so this is actually very interesting that I found in the article. It says that when you activate the functioning of your parasympathetic nervous system, it improves or activates your immune system, and it starts to stimulate something called neurogenesis, which is just growing new neurons in your brain. So doing this, it will actually help you with your cognitive functioning. And so it's kind of like an investment in yourself. Whenever you take time to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, indulging in self-care, you're really just helping your brain work better. You're helping your health, your immune system to be activated. And so instead of being on high alert all the time, your body can relax and pay attention to those details that maybe you would have not noticed if you were on that fight or flight mode. And this was really interesting to me at the bottom. It said in order to switch off from the sympathetic nervous system and go to the parasympathetic, there needed to be a trigger event. So something that you actually do to let your body know, hey, it's okay, you can relax. And so we're going to talk about some of those things that activate the parasympathetic nervous system so that you can move off of that fight or flight mode and actually help your body to relax. This quote is just talking about how variety and different things can help you enjoy or really find that trigger event. I liked how we had already mentioned before that when you fall into a routine, it doesn't have the same effect as when you first started that new activity. And so just finding different things. Maybe you try something of self-care for a week, and then after a while you switch it up, just so that it feels like it actually is renewing you and it's not just something that you're doing every day to check it off the box. And here we said that you could find renewal at work as well as at home with your family, friends, just finding different activities and also different people to help you relax and just take your mind off of that thing that's stressing you out. I always tell my mom this: you need to take your mind off of work when you're not at work. right? Once you leave that door, you're done with work, go home and do things that are going to take your mind off of it. Because if not, you're going to constantly have those stressors. Those stressors have a time and a place, right? So whenever you're at work, focus on work, get your work done. And whenever you're clocking out, you're going home, let those things only cause you stress whenever you need to worry about them. If you don't need to worry about that at that time, leave it to the side, right? So find some variety, find different things that work for you. There might be some trial and error, but it's good to find different activities that can help you take your mind off of things that cause you stress.
So now we have things that activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So mild exercise, maybe going on a walk. It feels really good outside right now. Getting the breeze on your face, getting out of an office, yoga and meditation. I was against yoga for a really long time. And then I did some hot yoga and I was like, I'm sweating in here on purpose. But honestly, I had such a great time. I really did. And that may have been due to my instructor and just how nice she was. Because she didn't pick on me. I was at the front of the class. But yoga and meditation are some really, really, really great activities to participate in. And deep breathing exercises. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes, especially when you have to present in front of people, or maybe, for instance, we have OSCEs where we have to go up in the front of class to answer questions and then actually do something on one of our classmates. With that being said, it can be really stressful and you could be panicking. Oh, what if I don't know this? Or what if I do this incorrectly? Taking a second and deep breathing and then blowing back out. It's like, okay, you know what you know everything that you need to know. All you need to go and do is perform. And then a massage. Y'all, I need a massage. I do, to relax. I think that y'all should go get one too. But while we're on this slide, if y'all will drop a couple of things in the chat and let us know some things that may activate your parasympathetic system, what things relax you or make you feel as though I'm lighter than a feather or I'm laying on a cloud right now. That's great. Catching up on the phone or in person with a good friend. I definitely agree. Thinking about your values or purpose. Dr. Besner, I like that as well. I really do. Walking, playing catch with my dog. Yeah, I miss my honey too at the house. He get out of breath and his tongue start wagging like that, and then we have to go back. Walking around the pond at the Round Rock campus. Can't wait for the path improvements and a wonderful mini escape during the workday. Yes, I can't wait to get back to it next week. When my 2-year-old granddaughter acts like a 2-year-old and just screams at the top of her lungs, I have to go outside and walk around the cul-de-sac.
Nature walks and positive thoughts.
Yeah, we love that. Oh, we love that. Oh, that's funny.
I want to say something about exercise. May I?
Yes, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
Emin. So exercise is interesting in terms of its influence on the parasympathetic nervous system. So Tyler talked about, like a walk or light exercise where your heart rate does not get up. That does stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. All other exercise where your heart rate gets higher, so more intense exercise, it will stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. However, the rebound effect is when you're done exercising, then you're more likely to switch over to the parasympathetic nervous system. So in terms of long-term effects, exercise keeps you more into the parasympathetic nervous system side when you're not exercising. So that's one of the ways exercise is so good for your health, because when we're under parasympathetic nervous system control, our organs work better, our mind works better, our blood flow is better. So really the goal is to stay in your parasympathetic nervous system as much as possible. So like if you do a good 30 or 60 minutes of hard exercise a day, you'll be in your sympathetic nervous system for that time, but then the rest of the time you'll be in your parasympathetic nervous system, which is really, really good for mental well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being. So, that cycling back and forth into those systems is good for your body, as long as the balance is on the parasympathetic side. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for adding that.
Yeah.
And not to mention like all the feel-good endorphins that come after that. It really helps you to go back to life after. I know I need my exercise. If I haven't exercised during the day, it's hard to take on the tasks I have to do. And yeah, it just helps you feel good in all aspects, all areas of health. So thank you everyone for your answers. Speaking of recovery, I liked this. I was also in the article, it talked about the importance of disengaging from work so that you're able to give your mind a chance to just have nothing on your mind and really recover from those things that were causing you stress. And so some of the things that it mentioned was engaging in activities that have nothing to do with work or nothing to do with the things that cause you stress. So that could be a hobby, that could be just doing something like chess or watching a show where all you're doing is you're focusing on that one thing. So you're not thinking about 100 things at once, right? That's how my mind always is. I'm doing something, but I'm also thinking about other things I have to do. And so just having a small task that you're doing at that time can really help you to disengage your mind from the stress and just complete a task, whether that be a word game, a show, cooking, talking to a friend where you're just thinking about your conversation with that friend. That can really help you to recover from things that you've been doing throughout the day or throughout the week. And all of these things, they're going to take time. As we said, it's an investment in yourself. And the only person that can make time for self-care is ourselves, right? And so it's important to really make that a priority and not think of it as just another thing on your to-do list, but it's something that will make you feel better, something that will have long-term effects. It's not just today, but it's about every day going forward. And it'll help you to be more efficient. As we said, it helps you to feel good afterwards, it helps you to be better focused. So even if that's just getting up and standing up and stretching every hour, that'll help you to feel better, especially for sitting for long periods of time. It'll help you to get that blood flowing so that you're getting more blood up to your brain. It'll help you to feel better engaged and with more motivation to do things. And so don't feel as if you have to take an hour every day to do these things. It can be 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it is that you need to really be able to disengage and be able to re-engage after you do that self-care. Marcia says the Wildcat stretch breaks on Mondays and Wednesdays are great and I recommend them. Thank you. We are the ones leading the stretches, so we're happy to help you guys take some time out during the workday and get that stretching in.
Yeah.
Mariana,
I want to mention something about shifting your mindset from thinking about something as a check it off my list kind of thing versus really seeing it as a renewal activity. So here's one strategy that might help. So if you can connect whatever it is that is feeling like a check off my list thing, and you want it to feel more like a renewal or recovery activity, if you can connect it to something that's important to you, preferably something you're doing that day, that whatever that is will help you do better, that will make it feel less like a chore. So for example, I love to get up in the morning and get on my Peloton, my bike. It's hard. It's hard to do it. And there are mornings when I don't want to, or I want to get that extra 30 minutes of sleep. And I only ride the Peloton 20 or 30 minutes. It's not like I'm doing an hour. But if I can think about, okay, what am I doing today? And how will the Peloton help me do that better? It feels much less like a chore, and I'm more motivated to do it. And then sure enough, I am able to do whatever that thing is better. So connect these activities we're talking about with something that's important to you in your life, maybe a relationship, maybe a big presentation, maybe a project, maybe a difficult customer, maybe a difficult boss, maybe a difficult coworker, maybe a challenging student. I don't have any of those. But if you can connect the self-care investment that you're making to one of those things and notice how it does help you do that better, it's going to feel less like a chore, and then just another important thing that you want to prioritize.
So what is your why? Why are you doing that at that moment? What is it going to help you? I like that. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to create a self-care action plan after this video. Please watch with intention so that we can see some good plans afterwards.
Hey there, let's talk about self-care. Now, Parks and Rec, of course, is pretty great, but self-care is more than just treating yourself. Self-care is not a reward, though sometimes that can be part of it. It's a vital piece of the ongoing process of being a human. To quote the self-help classic, Codependent No More, self-care is an attitude that says, I am responsible for myself. In other words, I am my responsibility, and I will honor that responsibility as I would anything else that was precious to me. So let's make an action plan for using self-care to make our lives more awesome. Step 1, recognize that it is indeed okay to take care of yourself. Nay, it is not just okay, it is smart. As Lifehacker puts it, self-care helps prevent burnout, reduces the negative psychological and physical effects of stress, and helps you refocus on what's true and important. Like, there's an entire peer-reviewed international journal on burnout. This is like a real big difficult problem to solve. Now, this may seem counterintuitive, but it actually makes you more productive, not less, to set time aside for yourself. And regardless of your productivity levels, recognize that you are a human being, and that is enough to warrant compassion and kindness. For real. Step 2, ideally before the need strikes, research outwardly and inwardly what self-care means and what works for you. There are self-care actions that can help pretty much everyone: getting proper nutrition, some exercise, enough sleep, hydrating, and taking small breaks throughout the workday. I like to go for walks, and I like to be forced to do it by my friends or family or baby. We'll link to a list of almost 50 self-care actions down in the doobly-doo. But everyone is unique, so it's important to ask what actions make me feel better. Journaling, texting something nice to a friend, like watching videos of pug puppies, doing a bunch of push-ups, pillow fights, putting some projects on the back burner maybe. I personally am all in for the baby cuddles. I have a baby now, and I feel like I'm doing a thing that I was designed for, and that I need to be doing, and that I also just really like. Sometimes he's angry though, and he yells at me, but most of the time I get cuddles. Now, one possible self-care action from us to you: start a digital warm and fuzzy file and fill it with compliments or kind words you've received, good memories, and favorite photos. Like, I have to admit, I get lots of people saying nice things about me on the internet, and that helps get me through the day. Being able to look through this file when you're feeling down might go a long way to bringing you back up. You want this list to be both ample and flexible, and you may even want to break it into different categories. For instance, T. Michael Martin, the fellow who wrote this script, by the way, has a spreadsheet of self-care actions organized by types of negative experiences. After all, the self-care you need while you're depressed may not be the same self-care that helps when you're overwhelmed with work. Also, if other people people are involved in these self-care actions, it's totally cool to let them know now that they are part of your action plan. They may not always be available, but odds are if they're a good friend, they're going to do their best to do their part. Step 3, self-care powers activate. It's best if you can recognize the warning signs that you could use some self-care before things go into the red zone. For me, by the way, it's when I notice my fingers going to websites that I didn't intend on going to. Like just typing in reddit.com when I have a ton of work to do is a sign that I should go for maybe a little walk to recharge the batteries. If you're keeping a journal, you might notice a pattern or two in your behavior. Perhaps you'll notice a bleaker mood than normal or disturbed sleep. Either way, once the need becomes apparent, consult your list and follow through. And that is all that we have for you today. But if you have any self-care tips, please let us and other people who are looking know down in the comments below.
All right. I hope that y'all watched that video with some very, very good intentions. And you do not have to place anything in the chat, but I do recommend sometime today or over your weekend that you take a second and think about your stressors and how you can renew yourself and make sure that you're not getting burnt out and making sure that you're taking care of yourself in one step in that direction. So my self-care action plan, things that stress me out. Finances is my number one. Ooh, loans are driving me bonkers. But things that renew me, spending quality time with my mom is probably my number one. Deadlines. Oh yeah. Exams coming up, or assignments like a paper. I have to make time to type. So eating a delicious meal, that's definitely me. I don't even like sushi, but I want some sushi right now. And then taking on various responsibilities at once. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I take on a lot of responsibilities, and I know that I should not. But I feel like I can do it. So sometimes I just have to step outside and take a breather, maybe even scream. I love being in the country and from the country, and I love hearing my echo. So that is very relaxing to me. If that is relaxing to y'all, go on a drive, do some screaming, do some yelling, or go to you have the escape rooms, and then like you have the other rooms where you go and smash stuff. Go to one of those places because they're really, really fun. Go break stuff. You don't have to pay for it. There are no repercussions. But and Dr. Besner said laughing, things that renew me.
I agree. Something that's also good to notice when you write out the things that stress you out and the things that renew you, is there a balance there? Do you have more things that are stressing you out, or do you have more things that are renewing you? If you have too many things stressing you out, find some more things that will help you feel renewed, because you need to have a balance. And so it's good to realize those things that stress you out, but maybe you need to focus more on what things help you to feel better, more focused, or just back on track. And if there are a lack there, maybe it's time to try out some new things, or focus on some things that you used to do that maybe you haven't had time for, so you can feel more of that balance and feel like you're able to tackle those stressors out better.
Yeah, I wanted to add, and the reason I drew the circle around the things that renew me is the research shows that you want to have more things in the renewal column and more variety of things than you do in the stress column. So keeping this sort of balanced list is a good indicator of the impact of things that you might not be noticing. If your the things in your stress column are more or greater than the things in your renewal column, then that's being out of balance and makes you susceptible, honestly, to burnout or sickness or whatever. So I think the visual of a list is really excellent feedback that helps you know if you're doing enough in the column, because it's really hard to get rid of stressors because most of the stressors that we all experience are not things that we are in control of. So it's really hard to lessen our stressor list. I mean, we have to go be a hermit or a monk to lessen our stressor list in our world. So where we get the most leverage and distance is from adding to the renewal column. And I also want to say, you know, being a minority, an ethnic minority in our world adds a whole level of stress that tends to be invisible and tends not to be noticed. And that's a stressor that all of you all who are ethnic minorities should put in the stressor column. It is something that you live with every day. It's especially hard in Texas right now with the laws that have been passed. So don't underappreciate that. It is a source of stress that adds up over time. And so that's even more of a reason to focus on the renewal. I'd love to hear comments about this concept. What do y'all think? Is it useful? What can you learn from it? What did you learn from it?
Feel free to add in the chat or mute.
Yes, yeah, this is Marcia. I think it's very useful. I've already known that I've been burnt out for quite a while. So seeing it and writing it down and really, like you said, visualizing it. I am a visual person. There's a lot of things that I know that I need to do, that I used to do, that gave me great relief that I just haven't been doing. So this helps me to kind of hold myself accountable and see where I am and say, whoa, you know, you've known you were this way. You know what to do to help to remedy that. And so now this will help me to really just like get up and remedy that. And you're so right about, you know, everything that's you know, with Texas and being an ethnic minority. You're so right about, like, as ladies at the top, as you age, you know, just the process of aging and health and things of that nature. And so there's just a lot of the commuting, even with the construction that's going on 35 and having to go down that every day. There's so many stressors. And so just thinking about, okay, well, where can we find relief? What can help it, you know, out? Like maybe for me, that would be like if my commute's 30 minutes, maybe leaving 45 minutes earlier. So I'm not, you know, stressing out and trying to figure out, and that, no, that's not like a self-care, but it is a self-care. It's like if I got to get up a little bit earlier so I'm not stressed out, maybe I can stop and get Starbucks. Maybe I could just come in when no one's in the office and just kind of look at some things. So this was very helpful to help me to kind of put things in perspective and see what I need to do to take action. So thank y'all.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think if, you know, stopping at Starbucks stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, then you're good.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, maybe go easy on the caffeine, but
oh yes, I don't drink coffee. So like
Okay,
I like to
cool.
get like a tea or like a chai latte. I
Yeah,
can't do the
that's great.
coffee thing, but I'm like
yeah. Anything that really makes you feel better and renewed. And Tracy's given an example, you know, every time you all help someone else, and I know you all have jobs where you constantly are helping other people, that's all a form of self-care. And it is important to recognize that. So I think, you know, really giving some thought, as Tyler said, taking some time maybe this weekend to really think about all the things that you do in your day to day that really could for you be under the self-care column. It helps you to realize you are doing a lot. And if you have a lot of stress, you could do more. Yeah.
And we hope that this action plan doesn't add stress to you, that it is actually a form of self-care to take time to notice these things and just really being mindful about what are the feelings that you get when you do these activities so that you're able to pick the ones that help you feel the most renewed. So thank you so much to everyone for your participation, for being here. Here are some references. If you had any questions about anything that we talked about, or if you need help with this action plan, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help with anything. And we hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you have questions, you can stay on and we can talk if you need, but that's all that we had for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
thank you. Could you go back to that reference page real quick? I want to take a screenshot. Okay, perfect.
The,
Thank you.
Marcia, that first article
Mhm.
has an inventory in the appendix.
Ooh, okay,
That
yes.
also is a really good resource. And you can get that article in our library.
Okay, fabulous.
You
Thank
can get
you.
it electronically from the library. Just go to the search and put in the Consulting Psychology Journal, and you can find it that way.
Mhm. Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
Student
Thank you.
Psychology Journal. And you said that y'all are both PT majors, like physical therapy?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I know you're in good hands with Dr. Binzer and anyone else that you have. I used to go to the Texas Orthopedics um, uh, Texas Orthopedics, I forget what the last part of it is, for physical therapy. And most of them were Bobcats, and I knew I was in good hands, and they had me walking and moving around in no time. They were so knowledgeable. But when I used to work in housing, a lot of my students had PT as a major, and they were like, it's so much, it's a lot. It's like, oh my gosh. But it works out in the end. And I have nothing but full faith when I find out that people are Bobcats and they've gone through our program, because they're just excellent. So hang in there. It completely is worth it, and it's just great work done by all. So thank y'all so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the endorsement,
You're
Marcia.
welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I enjoy. I'm just like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. So thanks so much. I hope y'all have a great one.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.